Calaveras County, and welcome to another episode of Mondo Calaveras. I'm your host, Mike Taylor. I don't think it's a secret on this program that one of my favorite events in Calaveras County comes around on the third weekend of September. And I'm speaking of the Concours d'Elegance. It's a car show that makes cars more special than any car show you've ever been to. Well, in 2020, we have this peculiar thing called that got in the way, and it's doing something a little different this year. So with me this time around is Steve Kautz. You're the, I want to say owner, but president of Ironstone Vineyards?
That's correct.
And Furmen Brown. And Furmen, I forgot to ask you how you figure into the concourse.
I'm on the board of directors.
Okay, well that makes perfect sense.
He's a car fishing.
I have to help.
And he's the car fishing. Yeah. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. And first I want to do a little bit of the backstory for folks that might not be aware. How old is the concourse this year, and what kind of inspired it?
It would have been 25 years had we been able to do it this year.
Do it the way that...
Yeah, we wanted to do it. And it got inspired years ago when my mom and dad, but primarily my mom, who was very, very active in supporting 4-H and FFA, wanted to do a fundraiser and generate some funds for youth in agriculture. And she passed this idea around, and a gentleman by the name of Chris Box contacted her and said, why don't we do a car show and get people enthused that way about doing that, and we could raise some funds for 4-H and FFA and youth activities in agriculture. And so the concourse was born. In that first year, I think we had about 40 or 50 cars out at the Ironstone grounds, and it just kind of built. Because
the amphitheater wasn't even there yet.
No, right? The amphitheater wasn't there. We had it down in the park and in the breezeway and out in front of the production facility.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the concourse actually kind of inspired the design of the amphitheater.
It had a lot to do with the thought process of how we laid the amphitheater out and the flow of the whole stage and how we move cars in and out.
Yeah.
So we just kept growing it and building it, and last year, it was either last year or the year before, we set the record of having the largest concourse in the United States as far as the number of cars on display.
That's awesome.
And we had cars from all over, and it was just an absolutely phenomenal event, and it's been a phenomenal event. And it's one of the few events that you can go to, and we all go to fundraisers and that, and you're like, what's this for?
Yeah.
But you know, as you've been, Mike, you walk right through the middle of the 4-H and FFAers that are having their projects there and putting flowers together and talking about what they do, and you know, wandering through the concourse with these just absolutely beautiful cars, antique and collectibles, and talking about their chickens and their goats. And that's what makes it special. I mean, you see the people where your money is going to, and get a chance to see what they're doing, and it makes you really proud to be able to support groups like that. And through the concourse, we've been able to do that.
You can even see a goat too.
You can even see a goat.
You can see a goat there.
Yeah, there's
not
kids.
This year, but normally.
There's usually kids and kids there.
Kids.
But they've never had a horse, because that's only 1 horsepower, and these cars have more than 1 horsepower. Most of them.
That's right. So, gentlemen, what are we doing in this year of pandemic and social distancing?
Well, we put a mask on our car.
Yeah.
To start with, but you know, we sat there and really wrestled as a board as to what to do and how we should do this, because we didn't want to give the event up. So we're kind of taking a suicide door that opened from the side, and we're going off to the side. We're going to have a drive.
Okay.
There's been a select group of cars that have entered, and they're
Wait a minute. A drive seems that we need money. This is a tour.
A tour. Oh, that's right.
Okay.
A drive. You have a drive to raise money. We're not.
Yeah. Okay.
A tour of Calaveras County. So there'll be a special route. This group of cars will come up and tour Calaveras County. Look at all the beautiful places that they want to come back to. Hopefully next year. And we've got we had a really good response, and a lot of people wanted to get out and tour the county and that. So, you know, we thought, how do we not impact the services of the county? How do we not impact Ironstone? How do we stay within the guidelines of what we're doing? under all the rules and regulations as they are today.
Which changed hourly, it seems.
But we came up with this great little tour that the cars are going to go on. And then it's the year that everybody gets on stage. So at one point, the cars will parade across the stage. Everybody will get their ribbon. Thank you for coming and that. And it's the COVID 2020 car tour. And they'll be back on their merry way. But, you know, we wanted to find a way that we could still keep the concourse and our mission to support 4-H and FFA and youth and agriculture alive and in people's minds. And that's what we elected to do and what we thought was the best choice for this year's concourse. And then next year, hopefully this is all behind us and we will have the grandiose. My mom wanted to make sure to tell you, next year's 25 years. It is our grandiose year that of the concourse. We've got some neat things planned for that. But I think the tour is really special, and I know Furman has some really cool cars that he wants to talk about.
That's great. What are we looking forward to?
First of all, I would say that every car is a winner because every car gets to go over the big stage and gets a ribbon and a picture. And so I don't know. Sometimes we've had over 300 cars at a concourse. But only a few of them get to go over the stage. So this time everybody goes over the stage.
Everybody goes across stage.
So we'll have a lot of fun that way. But car-wise. We've got a great lineup. We limited it to 100 cars. And right now, as of yesterday, there was 89. So we don't have many to go. So and the entry is lucky to have is for 2 people. So that is what's happening. A little idea of what's happening in the cars. The oldest car coming is going to be a 1906 Maxwell.
A Maxwell? I don't think I've ever even heard of that.
Oh, you haven't heard of a lot of cars, Mike.
I know that. That's the best part about the Concours.
Well, before we talk about some of the other cars, let me give you a couple things. In the United States, 1,480 automobile manufacturers have gone out of business.
Oh my God.
So that represented a heck of a lot of cars. Right? And, you know, representing cars with all kinds of names. You've never heard of the Maxwell? And then the next oldest car is a Rio. And that's a 1914 Rio. I don't know if you ever heard that.
I recognize the name from being at the Concours before.
Rio, we had a And then the third oldest car is my car. It's a 1926 Gardner. You know, most people think a Gardner has 2 legs and mows your wheel, mows your lawn. But this is an unusual car. They only made one of this model.
Oh my gosh.
And it comes with a light combing straight 8 engine, which has 87 horsepower. And in 1926, this engine was the strongest horsepower of any car in the United States.
Wow.
So Highway Patrol even used them in those days because they wanted to catch the rum runners, I guess. You know, so so that will be that is an entrance. And then we go over the type of cars. The next one after mine is a 27 Bentley. Which is a great running car, and it was shown last year at the Concours. Then we've got a Duesenberg, we've got old Lincoln, we've got a great number of cars. I don't want to go through all 89 of them, but I could.
Is it, and how are you going to organize the tour? Will it be kind of by year, or or just kind of randomly line them up?
And topic, Steve?
Yeah, I think we're going to randomly do it, and we haven't laid the tour out yet, or the tour route. We don't want to have a lot of people standing in one location. You know, we're hoping for this parade of cars, but they're going to cruise the county. And I think the greatest thing about the concourse for us is these cars all come to drive. And you know, you start talking about the age of some of these vehicles. You know, we require that the cars drive onto the field for our normal concourse. So for them to go out on a tour, and we started this a couple of years ago, a Friday tour around the county. And so, you know, people that are driving by all of a sudden see this parade of cars coming through, and it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. So somewhere along through the county after the route is laid out, people might get a glimpse of some of these cool old cars going around and driving around. But at this point, we needed to get the cars and kind of solidify what they can do and how they
what
can
kind of
do
numbers you're talking about, too.
And they're not all going to be in one massive long parade. We're going to kind of scatter them out into little groups, and then they'll show back up at the amphitheater to come across the stage and get their awards and everything.
Yeah, we do guarantee they'll all be 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
But also, Gail Kautz, his mother, I talked to her this morning, and she ordered some good weather. 82 degrees, no smoke in the air, no humidity. It's going to be one spectacular day.
Oh, yeah.
How's that?
Sounds like I'll be picking grapes again.
Oh, no.
Now, I have to interrupt you guys for just a minute and tell our viewers, some of you may have seen some of our coverage here at CCTV of the concourse, where I get to visit with these car owners. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. When you walk into that amphitheater and you see, I'm just going to be honest, when you see the money that is sitting in that amphitheater in the form of these vehicles, and these are people's babies, but you kind of think it's going to be a little snooty, and you think that these owners might be a little bit, they are farthest from that than I have ever. I mean, I've been to regular car shows around town where the owners are much more snooty and attitudey than these folks are. These folks love to talk about their cars, and their car is their baby. One gentleman one year pulled out the original receipt from the dealer on his 1950-something Jaguar, and he had the whole binder. He's going, yeah, that's when I had to have the oil change, and it's just fantastic to talk with these folks about these cars, and I'm sorry that that's something that the public won't get to experience in this, but at least it'll get to see these vehicles, because that, this is where I'm going with this, that's the cool part, is you get to see all these cars actually drive.
Yeah.
And because sometimes you see an antique car and you think, oh, that thing hasn't driven in years. And then you hear the owner fire it up because he's best in class, and he chugs across the stage with a smile from ear to ear, and Gail gives him the prize, and it's just something else. So it is the most beautiful car show ever, and I'm so glad to hear that it's the largest in the nation. That's just something else.
Numbers-wise, yes.
Yeah, numbers-wise, and it's. I think that's what makes it really special, is when we put it together, it's not that hoity-toity. It's very casual when you come to the normal concourse.
Yeah.
You can wander around, and the car owners are very open. Most of them are all sitting at their cars and want to talk about them. And I remember a few years ago we had this nice, Duesenberg was our selected car. And here's all of these 20s and 30s Duesenbergs and these big fancy luxury cars. And I'm thinking, God, did they drive these off the trailer even to get them here? And they're like, oh no, they drove them from Seattle and they're going to Lake Tahoe over Highway 4 after this. I'm thinking, well, the tow truck and all those cars just hooked it all up. And I mean, they're big fancy cruising cars, and that's what they were made to do. And so a tour like this is really showcasing what the cars can do. I mean, not so much how much money has the owner put into making sure the nuts and bolts and everything are correct. It is, these cars were made to drive, and they're out on a tour throughout the beautiful grounds in Calaveras County itself, seeing all this. But they're driving from all over to get here too. So
that's the cool part. And I will also tell you, gentlemen, and you can pass this on to the board of directors if you haven't seen any of our broadcasts. Every single one of the car owners who I ask, what do you like so much about this concourse? Because they've been to those others, and they say, oh, it's the people, it's the winery, it's the public, it's the kids and their goats. It's just this wonderful event. So Sorry, I keep harping on how cool that event was, but I want to get to what we're doing with this one and how this, I'm interested that you're going to have maybe, I'm thinking 4 or 5 groups of cars kind of perusing the county.
Yeah, I'm going to guess, and as I said, we haven't officially laid it out because we need to get the cars all listed out and kind of break them into groups and that, but we'll have routes where there'll probably be 4 or 5 groups that'll head out in different directions, and then because we can't handle them all and keep with all the regulations at Ironstone at one time. So the groups will kind of be, you come through Ironstone, you get to drive up onto the stage, you get all of the glamour and glitz of your ribbon and your picture and that, and then you drive off and head out to wherever you're heading from that point. So, and we hope that by that point things are lightened up and eased up a little bit, and people can maybe stand on a corner and watch the cars go by and that, but as you know, Ironstone, as you know, Murphy's in the area, Probably a few people that can strategically locate and figure it out where those cars are going to have to pass at one point or another.
Today it's a secret.
Today it's a secret.
We're building suspense.
Well, and you know what? As you build this suspense, Furmen,
yes.
I guess what I should ask is, not when yet, but where can people go and look to see what the routes might be so that they can maybe know that they can step out into their front yard and see the cars go by, or they can walk down to the end of the driveway.
But it's coming.
Yeah. And is that going to be on the website where it'll be
potentially?
publicized?
I think
we're
so.
Yeah, we're at this point still trying to figure out, as you said, it's a daily. What are we dealing with today, and what are we dealing with tomorrow? So, if that's something we feel comfortable with as a board and an organization, we'll kind of say, hey, this is the route, and if you stand out here roughly at this time, something might drive by that
you've never seen before.
Yeah, that you've never seen before. Because Furmen said 2 cars. I've never seen a Maxwell before, and so that'll be a really interesting vehicle to see. But I think that the biggest thing about this is these car owners that are bringing these cars, bring them to drive, and that's what they're doing, and so that's what we elected to put together.
And they are wanting to get out of the garages because they haven't been out this year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's been no place to go. Even the little parking lot shows aren't happening. So we're very lucky that Ironstone Vineyards is going along with this whole thing. So.
And this may be too technical a question, and I apologize for that ahead of time, but is like CHP on board to kind of help out with some stuff, or have you even talked with it?
No, it's a car drive.
Yeah,
I mean,
so folks are just driving.
It's a car tour.
Car tour, yeah.
I'm not driving anything, I'm touring. So I mean, it's just going to be people who are out seeing it, and all we have done is this select group that will be coming out across the stage at some point. But unfortunately, at this time, as of today, we can't invite the public out to Ironstone.
To the winery to see that stuff at the stage.
Right. So it's difficult for us. But again, this would have been 25 years. My mom said, if there's any way, shape, or form, and this is what we came up with as a board, in a way that at least a lot of these car owners have been here year in and year out with us at this Concours, and as Furmen said, they haven't had their cars out all year, and so when they had an opportunity to come for a drive or a tour,
they jumped out. I've never seen registration come in so early as we have. They don't really. When it was announced, they started signing up immediately.
So those tires were itchy.
They were very itchy, very itchy. Getting back to this concourse compared to like Pebble Beach.
Sure.
We go there all the time. But there, I call them car handlers, because the owners are there, but some of them can't even start their car.
Yeah.
But with these people, all of our people at Ironstone in the Concours and for this tour, they are hands-on people. So they could talk about it. They've worked on the cars, and it's a different element. That's why it's fun for the public.
Furmen, something to mention so that folks can look forward to next year and this year, because they have a chance to see these cars driving through. But this concourse isn't like car shows where we want it all restored to this, that, and the other. Can you explain a little bit how the judging is different? I know that everybody's a winner this year, but in a normal year, when we get to the 25th anniversary, how are these cars judged?
These aren't customized cars. The 57 Chevy convertible, and they put the mag wheels on. It doesn't come to our show. Okay. It is the original stock type wheels.
Okay.
They can be polished very heavy, but they are original cars. There's no custom cars, no hot rods per se. But we have a racing class where there are 1926 and 27 Indianapolis cars that have been here the last few years, and then people get to ride in them on a track that Steve built out there. So it is so much fun. And the first year, the water truck went in, and the cars went along, and the people got mud all over them. And we worried about we thought we're going to get lawsuits. People got muddy. They loved it. And then people walked around. Oh, you were on the tour.
You got to get muddy.
You got to get muddy. So this is the fun we have. This is the fun we have at this concourse. Another thing that happened 3 years ago now were the little amphibious cars. The hamper cars. And there were 3 of them, and they were so happy to share those little cars in the pond.
Yep.
So Steve made a ramp so they could drive into the pond.
Yep.
And
you made that ramp just for these cars?
We put
the
that
AMPA
ramp in
cars?
so that they could easily come in and out and people could get a ride in the AMPA car.
Wow.
Because they are so unique. And there's only a handful of those cars that are still in existence. Like
the only place that they
15 of them or
regularly
something.
drive around is Walt Disney World now,
Yeah.
I believe.
Pretty
There's
much.
a few of them.
Yeah.
well, most of them have rusted out.
Yeah,
That is
right.
true, and they started over in Europe, and they the first time it went across the English Channel, I think without that salt, that car isn't available. But the people themselves want to share their cars.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say you can't touch it. It's pheasant under glass. We do not drive it.
Yeah.
We just look at it, and we're different, and that's what Mike, you've said it, and I agree.
But that really is the distinction, is that these are cars as they rolled off the showroom floor back in their day, right? This isn't about restoring that car and then adding something or making it. No, the idea is if you, and I guess I'm asking you, Furman, is if you find a 19 whatever Duesenberg and it's in crummy shape, you can bring it back to that showroom quality, but you're not gonna put the mag wheels on it or put
Bring it
put
back.
a turbo on it or
But
now,
one of the popular classes that we have is the unrestored.
unrestored.
yeah.
So
that's right.
there's people who are bringing those out, and you're seeing some of those cars with original paint that's 80 years old or 90 years old.
Patina.
Yeah, you're looking at it and saying, so the even at all the concourses around, the unrestored class now is becoming very, very popular.
Cool.
They have those old barn finds and that, and it's like, we could spend a ton of money and make this car as it was showroom floor.
Yeah.
Or it's almost cooler coming off. We'll knock the cobwebs off and chase the mice out. But outside of that, this car still runs. You know, and
you save a lot of money by not restoring
you save a lot of money by
it. People do not know what it takes to restore a car. They think it's pretty, but they don't really know.
What is it? And I've heard some of the stories out there, but you tell viewers that, Furman. I mean, pick a car that maybe you've done yourself.
I've got one here. It's a 1937 Cadillac, and it's a 12-cylinder, V12. And it is number 13 of 20 made.
Wow.
Number 8 is in the Harry S. Truman Museum because Mrs. Truman, well, that was her car. Well, this car, my wife liked it because it had a windshield. And had a heater, and because a lot of my cars don't have windshields and heaters, so we restored it. And I never was superstitious, but remember this car was number 13. So now to get the running board rubber, there's no place in the United States to get it, so we had to have it made in Canada.
Oh my gosh!
And the first ones was a crook, and he kept it a year and a half, and I sent him half the money, and he's going to send me the running boards. And they don't come.
Oh, no.
Come to find out that he had done this to about 40 that had never taken them out of the box, collected half. So now we got to get them back because remember how we're going to get them. So that's the kind of things that happen. And there's hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars.
And it takes years sometimes for these cars. And is that the difficulty in locating the parts?
Yeah, a lot of times we have to have parts made because you can't go to Napa Auto.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to Napa and get the V12 pistons. I had to have them made.
Man.
And for some reason, NASCAR kept bumping my order. So it took me about 2 years to get that engine done, and it was 2 years just the running board rubber. So there's a lot of time and effort. People don't realize it, and then you try to sell it, they don't realize how much money you've got into it.
So we're still going to be the third Saturday of September, which I don't even know what date that is.
Is the 20th.
20th. Okay.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah, 26.
Harry, 26.
26.
Yeah.
26.
Okay.
It's still going to be that day.
Okay.
They're somewhere throughout the county on that day, a certain
Be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout for a great group of cars touring the county and seeing these wonderful places. And we're still making every effort to generate as many funds as we can to support 4-H and FFA. So, we understand this year is a tough year for a lot of people, but if people still want to donate, they can go to the Ironstone Concours Foundation.org, make a donation. And
I was going to ask is how we were going to kick some dollars
go
into
there, and there are people that are donating, and we're still supporting. 4-H and FFA is still alive, and these kids still have their animals, and they're still getting ready for next year, and we're bound and determined to support them in any way we can.
How much has the foundation provided to FFA and 4-H?
We're over $500,000 now.
Wow.
And
nice.
the thing about this concourse is almost 90% of our funds go directly back to 4-H and FFA, and or we support the California State Fair youth activities up there through agriculture. We've had some groups that come and say, we'd really like to go to horse camp, or we have a program to send a 4-H'er to 4-H camp for the first time for the city youth and that. Gardens in the classroom type of thing. So we've brought it out not just to 4-H and FFA, but it is agricultural youth. And you know, we all need to eat, and we see these kids come up, and you have an opportunity to talk to them and see them. It does us a lot of, our hearts are good to see these kids and the things that we've been able to do for them over the years. Yeah,
it's really something, and that's, I'll let you guys talk again in a second before we're done, but I will say to folks, go to ironstoneconcourse.org and make a donation, especially in this year where things are a little funky and those donations are going to be a little bit smaller, because because we're here in Calaveras County where there are lots of FFA and 4-H kids who are still doing their thing, and their clubs are still active in doing what they do. So real quick, guys, we've got about a minute and a half, 2 minutes left. What do you tell folks about the COVID concourse?
We think it's a great thing to witness, and what we're doing it for is the great thing too. And I will say the Calaveras County people support the kids. Example, we raised $500,000 on the kids auction online, unheard of. So
for the county fair. For the county fair this year.
And we were amazed. In fact, the people handling couldn't believe the money was coming in. So the people here support FFA and 4-H, and here's a good way to do it.
And I think that sums it up. We wanted as a board to find a way to keep our event in the forefront of people's minds, and to keep, if nothing else, if they remember one thing about Ironstone Concourse this year, not the tour, not everything else, but the support for 4-H and FFA, the support for youth and agriculture, and the momentum that my mom and dad have created in 25 years. And you know, it's kind of like, I guess it's going to be 24 and a half, because next year's going to be 25.
We're that 4-year-old who's 4 and a half, and that half a year means something. Steve Kautz Furmen Brown, thank you so much for being here. I hope that we'll call this the concourse, is a success. And ladies and gentlemen, you can step up, ironstoneconcourse.org, that's org, and make a contribution, and be on the lookout for those cars on September 26th.
And we'll have the route out before then.
There you go. All right, folks. Until next time, I'm Mike Taylor. Enjoy driving Calaveras County.
Thanks, Mike.